This is the Put It in the Air podcast. This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
Yes. Welcome in, everyone, to the Put It in the Air podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Casello, a.k.a. East Coast Virus.
And I'm Pascal Rawls-Philippe, a.k.a. Punksindrablake.
You should have done that last week, because when you used to do that in the beginning of the episode, you would lose. And now you're winning.
No, because the first couple of weeks I did it, and I got, top score, so I think it's kind of...
I have bad memory when it comes to you winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's because it only happened 5 times.
Damn. Oh, it happened 5 times for me, too. No, it didn't.
No, I lied. It happened 6 times.
That's right.
Yay!
It happened 5 times for me.
It did happen
6
5 for you. See, I haven't even been paying attention to my own team, but
well, you didn't.
Yippee, I made the playoffs.
You didn't really need to this week because you didn't control your own destiny, and neither did I. So I kind of pulled myself out of it this week to where the walls were safe. There was no breakable objects that were in danger. As I was I could put up my best lineup, which included some really bum-ass players.
Hey, at least this week, you didn't leave a winning lineup on your bench.
Oh, yeah. I left a flat lineup on my bench.
Yeah, it was all zeros and buys.
And injured zeros, buys, and apple pies.
I am very proud of you. I'm very proud of you,
Zero
Brendan.
calorie apple pies. Thank you. Thank you for being
if
proud.
If you had done this well the rest of the year, you would be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. I would love to know how it is. I forgot since last year I had a 10-game losing streak.
This is 2 years in a row that you're out of the playoffs. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I think that this will be the 12th year in a row that I don't win the championship.
Well, I wouldn't call it that early. I mean, there certainly is games to be had. There's teams that are on a tear, and there's teams that are kind of just there.
On a tier, kind of making their owners cry.
That's the guys that don't play a game this week.
I don't know. One of our friends is looking at this upcoming matchup with a little concern in his belly. But
that is certain.
Why don't we go over your 5 and
the 5 and 37 bet. It is,
and then we'll get into what's going on in the playoffs.
All right, so it is complete. I've got breaking news. The 5 and 37 bet is complete, and Billy, who chose 22 wins, would have won $10 if I went 0-3 this week.
But you didn't.
But I did not. We know that I did lose in the Put It in the Air League. And Billy knows I did win in the Lions Den, which we'll talk about that a little later. Some big shakeups.
So Billy's out of the running, but Scott is still in the running at 23 wins.
Scott chose 23, and drum roll, please. He didn't win either.
Oh.
Because in the family league, I also queued a win. That means that I had 24 wins and no one was... I forgot Marv selected 24 wins. Marv wins. The crowd goes insane. Marv wins $10 on top of whatever else he's going to win in this postseason.
Oh, snap. That means drinks on you, Marv.
Yeah,
well, a drink. The one drink that you can buy with $10.
Maybe like an any size fountain drink for $1 at McDonald's for the whole league.
Well, actually, Arizona, they haven't upped their price in ever since they came out.
They don't plan on it either.
10 of them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just leave 2
take away
teams
tax,
out.
So 9.
Then leave 4 teams out.
Yeah.
And then,
but there are already 4 teams out.
That's the teams you should leave out. I don't want any.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting any anyway.
I'm not, but I did go 24 and what is it? There's 42 games. So
24 and 18.
24 and 18. That's not bad. I actually
compared to 5 and 37.
Yeah, I'm hopefully I get really bad or Pascal gets really bad grade next year, and we are continuing to do this podcast, and we can run a new bet, and maybe we can give some of our money away.
I mean,
glad somebody won it.
I think that regardless, next year you're still going to be in 3 fantasy leagues, So we should just run the bet back anyway.
Yeah, and maybe I'll draft better and it'll
Probably
be
not.
much harder to guess.
And we already know that it's not about your drafting. It's not about your waiver wire. It's about the fact that you don't know who to start each week. So even if you draft the right guys, it's not like you're going to play them.
Enough about me. Let's get to the next segment. It's in the air. Welcome, everyone, to the playoff introduction.
So what are we putting in the air this week?
This week, we are wondering who's in and who's out and who's facing off against each other in the next week, which is playoff week 1.
Well, seeing as how I'm in and you're out,
Yes.
why don't you go ahead and let us know who has joined you in the shit pool?
So, I am sad to inform you all that Richard Fortuna, a.k.a. Babalu, a.k.a. G-Men's Crusaders, will be joining me in the teams that were once and mostly for most of the season in the playoffs.
Yeah, Baba had a really
dropping
good
out.
season up until, I don't know what, like maybe like 5-6 weeks ago.
I don't know. I think Babalu was like floating around like 6 to 7, like the whole season, while I was dangling around the 8 and 9 spot, just flipping back and forth.
I think that my 200-point week was probably the turning point for him.
When
You know-
when you beat him by his whole score times 2.
Basically, yeah. I think from there, everything kind of switched up for him and for me and for Colin as well. He and Frank really in the second half of the season got some tough matchups. They had some tough luck with their squads.
Yeah, and Frank also had a great squad this year. He's another team that didn't make it. We knew that last week. And, of course, Sean Dennehy, who almost had the top score this week, also did not make it. The 3 teams that finish in 9, 10, and 11 are G-Men's Crusaders at 9, at 5 and 9. He dropped 2 spots out of 7th. That's rough. East Coast Virus at 10th at 5 and 9. The Auto Draftees at 11th and 5 and 9. And Captain Cannabis in the outs at 4 and 10. The Toilet Bowl trophy is coming back to Colorado.
How does it feel, Sean? How does it feel being in the toilet bowl? At least you were able to have this wonderful podcast that you loved so much to listen to throughout the season. And I'll say this, the best teams in our league over the last 5 to 7 weeks all were in 7th to 12th place at some point. This past week, we had Sean at 170 points, missing out by about 10 points on the top score. We had Frank at about 165 points, missing out by about 20 points, but scoring the 3rd highest score of the week. It shows that everyone had really good teams. It's just that some people got unlucky with injuries, bye weeks, who you were facing that week, things like that. And that messed us up more than just being inept.
Yeah, and for Babalu to be out of the playoffs with Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson as a trio of running backs, not to mention the rest of his team, which is, pretty great. I mean, Jawan Jennings, he had a great team. To be out of the playoffs is it's crazy. My bus stopped when J.K. Dobbins went out with injury. That's where it just shut down. And let's stop talking about losers, man. Let's talk about the guys who got in, starting with the ones who just snuck in, because not that they snuck in, they forced their way in.
Yeah, I'll give it to myself first.
Cool.
I took the last spot. I really didn't think I was going to make the playoffs at all, based off of how crappy my season was, but I had a good end to the season.
With a 3-game winning streak compared to my 3-game losing streak where you basically took my spot.
Yeah,
So
thank you for
I'm
that.
happy you did it. I'm actually rooting for you to win it all because you've never won it before and we've done this podcast all year. So my chips are in your corner. If it's not you, let's go, Jay. Let's get your first ever championship and put it in the air.
Yeah, honestly, we've got 3 never wins in the playoffs with Jay, Aggie, and myself.
And Scott, actually. Did he?
Oh, Scott.
Did
Yeah,
Scott
Scott's
win it?
never.
I don't think
Scott's ever won it either.
No.
So
we got
half the teams.
So
yep.
let's go that half. The other guys, I appreciate your time and efforts and some of your amazing performances. But can you just lose?
I'm going up against another never win in Scott. He's our number 1 place team.
That kind of sucks. So one of them are going to be out after this week,
Right.
guaranteed.
But congratulations, Scott. You know, you deserve your kudos for having the best season.
Dude, a final record of 11-3.
That's impressive.
You know, Marv caught up to him, and he did have less points than Marv.
I don't
However,
think we can say Marv caught up to him because Marv was in first place the whole year.
Well, that's
really
true.
Scott did a really good job of managing his roster, staying in second place the
He
whole
did.
year. And then when Marv's team eventually or inevitably took a tumble, Scott was there to hop on it.
so first place with the third most points for, which sounds about right. And second place with the second most points for. Marv crushed it. They both finished at 11-3. I mean, you guys are great this year. We wish we had your teams. I do. Pascal not so much because he's ready to beat you, Scott.
I am.
And let's talk about something so ridiculous, dude.
What's that?
Let's just talk about great. I scored a shit ton of points again.
Yes, he really did. I don't think there's anyone who wants to face him, including our second place team.
Yes, we have a little insight that we do have some worry on the other end.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
there should be, considering Colin has had 4 top scores in the last like 5 or 6 weeks.
Week 10 till now, I think 4.
No, I think he had
And one
10
earlier, yeah,
I think
it
he
was-
had 10, 11, 12, and 14 or something like that.
something ridiculous.
He put it in the group chat.
I heard
so
he
go back and
donated
look
it
at
to the podcast, so that's great.
No, that's great. I mean, I appreciate that.
And
We'll get
thank you
ourselves
for
some
your
beers
donation
and-
as well, and Aggie and Billy and whoever else won that didn't get paid yet.
That's
We
fine.
appreciate
Just
all your
donate it
guys'
to us and
money.
We'll split it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we're gonna split it minus travel expenses, which kind of ate it all up. So
Well, I pay a lot. I pay a lot to get from my bedroom to the kitchen.
yeah,
So
and I pay a $5.80 round trip from
Whoa.
Queens to Harlem.
you should probably hop that.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
not in Harlem. You can't. There's like freaking
oh no, people hop it in front of the cops all the time. They don't do anything.
that's changing. That's
Well,
been changing.
It hasn't yet.
The last year, it's been.
I saw someone do it just yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it too, but I've also seen people get stopped. And
I have to. They're
enforcing it now.
Supposedly,
They
but
got-
not at 2/5.
Since 2020, it got rampant and crazy, and
Because they said they were going to stop
finally-
doing anything.
Well, they find like MTA buses, they're not allowed to.
But then what
Do
happened
anything?
like a month ago? They killed someone over a friggin'. They killed someone and shot like 2 other people over a hopped gate. Bullshit. Anyway,
Oh, the guy, he had a knife. There's more to that story, but yes,
Yeah.
he did. That was a crazy. fucked up
so
story.
back to the playoffs. Scott, I think he has a legitimate matchup against me this week.
Yeah, that should be a really good one.
Marv has got to be shaking in his boots going up against Colin.
Let's give both of these guys their credit. I guarantee that both of them woke up this morning, even though, I mean, I knew what it was going to look like, and I'm sure that some of Colin, the analyst, probably knew. But I'm sure that they woke up and both were like, "Oh, come on, man!"
Yeah,
like, Colin's been on fire. Marv is like, "Shit, I have to face this point hog." And then Colin's looking at Marv like, "Dude, the most epic receiving core, like." I don't think Jordan Addison's going to outscore Justin Jefferson every week.
Right.
So, like, there's
and
there's little
here's the
elements of
thing.
this matchup.
It's something that I mentioned to Marvellis in the middle of the season when he was on his tear, is that your guys are going to fall off at some point. They're not going to keep up this crazy pace.
Whether it's injury or your quarterback
And
gets
so
injured or
Colin
your
has to
coach
be
get fired.
Colin has to be looking at it the same way, where it's like, did his team peak too early?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
For
sure.
sure.
He got like $125 in top scores. So that's great. You make your money back. You don't have to worry about
Well,
that.
100. He got 4.
I think he got 5.
5?
4? I don't know. But either way,
I think he got 4.
got a
but
lot of money back.
5 would be cool.
And
then
and But you've got to hope that your team didn't peak too early, because what's the chances you're getting 100 points out of 3 players 2 weeks in a row? It's not high. And Marvellis got 150 points last week, while Nico Collins was on his bench, and someone else was on his bench. I can't even think of who. But it's going to be a tough matchup for both of them. Collins getting Joe Mixon back.
And Marv's getting Nico Collins back, and Justin Jefferson versus Jordan Addison. Colin would be crazy not to start Jordan Addison, but is he going to have one of those games where he only has 1 catch, like not 3 touchdowns? And then is Justin Jefferson going to have one of those duds? You got freaking elements.
I would feel much better about Jefferson just because he's already had all his duds for this season. I would be surprised if he goes back to sub 100
especially
yard games.
especially after a 2 touchdown performance, which was overshadowed by Addison.
But Brock Bowers, right? He's been the best tight end in football, but he's a rookie, and rookies tend to hit the rookie wall right about now. So last week he put up sub 10 points. Is he going to be able to get back to putting up 30 points?
And then Colin, for now, I mean, I'm sure this probably will change, but he's got the Steelers kicker against the Eagles defense in the same game. I imagine the Eagles defense would probably be switched out this week. Chuba Hubbard is now a golden child again.
Right.
Jonathan Brooks is out. Malik Neighbors, we'll see. Now that he's had a couple weeks with Drew Lock of playing Pop Warner football, maybe he could actually catch a little Giants touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, Neighbors is still putting up double-digit points, even with these crappy quarterbacks. So all he needs is a touchdown to be the kicker, and all of a sudden he's got a really fantasy viable week.
When you look at the lineup of Marv with his 3 J's, he's got Jordan Love, James Cook, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys could all just go absolutely bananas.
James Cook put up like 4 points
That's
last
because
week.
Josh Allen put up 50.
But I'm saying, like, he put up 4 points last week.
Allen,
what's the chance it's happening again? He's been going crazy all season.
Josh Allen gave James Cook the week off and put up his best performance, Josh Jacobs style performance.
But then you look at this. Jordan Love against the Seattle defense, which is a good defense, especially against the pass. James Cook against Detroit, good defense. Jahmyr Gibbs against Buffalo, good defense. Jordan Jefferson against the number 1 pass defense in Chicago. Nico Collins should go off against Miami. Hawkinson against Chicago. Dallas played good defense last week. There's a chance that Chuba could be stopped, although their middle linebacker went down with an injury, so that could be good for Chuba. On Collins' side of things, you got Tennessee, which has one of the best defenses in the league.
And to be honest with you,
Cleveland has one of the best defenses.
That this is all going to come down to Collins' stack of Burrow and Chase and how they perform. If they're able to just go absolutely apeshit, 70 points together, 60 points together, like they have probably 5 times this season, then Collins got the edge in this matchup. But the Isaiah Pacheco, the return of Isaiah Pacheco, they're ramping him up, but the Chiefs they're sluggish, and they're going to be playing the Cleveland Browns, like you just said. That's going to be one of the best
defenses in the league.
That's going to be a tough matchup for your running back. Joe Mixon, it doesn't matter who he's playing against. I'm sure he will dominate this week. But who's going to have the better game? Mixon
has up and down games. He is not a guarantee. I think that it was just, let's see. 2 weeks ago against Tennessee, he only had 9.5 points. That's sandwiched by a 35-point game and a 22-point game, right? Mm-hmm. So Miami's not that good, but their run defense is okay. It's not a guarantee that he's going to go off.
Is it going to be a passing game or a running game for Houston?
Well, it's a warm weather game, so at least if they were in the cold weather, you'd be like, all right, they're going to lean on the running game.
Yeah.
But Miami's a track team, right? They're in Houston. Miami could put up a whole bunch of points early, and all of a sudden, Joe Mixon is not as utilized as he normally is. It's going to be a good one. This is going to be a really good matchup. Whoever comes out of this is going to be feeling really good about themselves going forward into the playoffs.
I'm gonna we'll assign these games now that we've talked in depth about them. I want you to cover this game for next week, and I'll cover your game.
All right, sounds good.
You and Scott. Now,
so let's go over my game.
We'll definitely check it out.
We kind of jumped ahead. That's probably the best matchup, so it makes sense to spend a little time on it. But me against Scott. Oh, and let's do real quick the expected points. The expected points for Catch This Fade versus Great. Catch This Fade is expected to score 134.12, and Great is expected to score 139.23.
So a
5-point spread.
Yeah, 5-point lead. And there's only one questionable guy in that matchup with Josh Downs, and then George Pickens on Marv's side, who's currently on the bench. We'll see what happens with that.
All right, so now we've got the Milfuckers in first place versus yours truly, Punks in Drublic.
Now, the projections are looking like it's in Scott's favor. He does have a really good team, but when you look at the lineup, when you look at both your teams lined up with each other, I think you have the edge on a couple spots where he has the edge in a couple. So it's really, it's going to be an interesting week. We can't really go too in depth on defenses and kickers because those get switched out enough unless you have a really great performance. So we could start there, and it looks like the 49ers at the Rams for Scott and Tampa Bay at the Chargers for Pascal. So we'll see who does what. Pascal, you have Scott has the Seahawks also, but they're playing Green Bay. So
yeah, the Rams, they just beat up on the Bills.
The Bills, yeah, it was a really good game.
And the 49ers have not been playing very good defense this year. So I think that there's a chance that both of us try to switch out our defenses for this week.
Yeah.
The Chargers, we'll see. They're missing a lot of people, and Justin Herbert has not really been lighting the world on fire. Plus, he has a bone bruise. We'll get to the injuries a little bit later.
I gotta say, the Chargers, if there's not a better option, I wouldn't feel too uncomfortable playing the Bucs against them this week.
I'm not. I wouldn't drop them. I would drop someone else. But
now, the one place of discomfort I do want to mention, sorry to cut in quick, the Tampa Bay backfield. Now,
yeah,
if I think it's in your best interest that Bucky Irving sits.
Oh, definitely.
So if he sits,
if Bucky had sat last week, and really I should have thought about it better, a rookie coming off injury, I should have known that they were gonna lean on Rashad anyway. But if Bucky had sat last week, I would have scored about 158 points last week. So I'm definitely hoping he sits.
I really think that if this were my team, I would 100% go with Christian Watson again. If Bucky sits, move Rashad up, put Christian Watson in. Sorry, I'm burping up a brand new Red Bull iced vanilla berry. It's so good.
So the problem with Christian Watson is he's very up and down,
volatile player, of course.
But he gets big pass opportunities every single game, but he also drops them pretty often.
He seemed to be a hot commodity this past week. It was a Thursday night game, so we all got to see it, and his targets were all monsters. He had 7 targets, I think, this past week, and I doubt he's going to go under that, especially if Romeo Doubs sits again. That seems to be his kryptonite when Doubs is on the field.
Yeah, they tend to swap around who their number one target is. Jaden Reed had 0.
Reed had a goose, you're right.
Yeah, so it's like there's a chance that they might be leaning on him. Plus, when you look at the Seattle defense, they've got what's his name? Zion McCollum? Is that his first name? The 5th round wide receiver who's he's 6'3", runs like a 4.3 40.
Cornerback, you mean?
Yeah, corner. What did I say?
Wide receiver. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
We all understand.
And so he's a great matchup for Christian Watson, and he's a better cornerback than Watson is a receiver. Then they also have their first round pick who was taken over Christian Gonzalez. I can't remember his name. The dude who hits really hard. But so they have 2 really good corners. And And that Seattle defense.
Based on the performance of last week, in comparison to schemes, I think that Watson looked like the clear one for the first time this season.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't watched every Packers game. I've seen highlights and stats and everything, and Watson kind of looked like a stick in the mud, and like he was on the waiver wire a few weeks ago in some other leagues I'm in.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think you dropped him and picked him back up, right? Didn't you? Or no?
No.
Oh, you were. Okay.
I picked him up. I picked him up after someone else. I think
Somebody
Bob
else
had dropped him.
So he was on the waiver wire at some point this year. I think he's your best looking player on your bench, maybe next to Pop Douglas.
Yeah, I'm thinking. So Sincere McCormick is an option. He's their starting running back right now, but he's not putting up a ton.
The clock is expiring on him too, and it's on a bad offense. I mean, Madison.
Well, the thing is that Atlanta's not a good defense. It's more the matchup for me. Pop is going up against Arizona. That might be a good place. It might be a passing game. I don't really have great options. Alec Pierce against Denver's defense is basically a non-option for me.
You've got the waiver wire tonight. Let's not.
I've got the waiver wire. I've got some people that I'm looking at,
and you're eighth. So technically, you should be getting first. Then again, because of keepers and the way that we've kind of adjusted the league.
And also because I think that we have some people out of the playoffs who have no problem messing things up for people who are in the playoffs, which you can tell by Sean picking up Isaac Guerrero last week, which I thought was a great pickup.
It was a great pickup.
I was so happy that he picked him up.
I was too, because I knew that it would fall to Colin. Like I had him, you had him, we all had him. I confirmed with Colin, he had him, of course. And that would have made his team even more spectacular. However, Guerrero did get injured. We'll get into that. Yeah. But to round up your matchup, I mean, you've got the juice in the quarterback. Jalen Hurts has been on fire lately.
Going up against the number one defense, it's not a great matchup.
It's not a great matchup, but for mobile quarterbacks, is that proven that the Steelers, maybe they have holes. They clearly do. I mean, they're playing much better than we all expected. Every year it seems to happen.
Yeah.
The Steelers look like trash. It's like, how does Mike Tomlin keep doing it, dude, with all these like duds of teams? And now look at them. They're making Russell Wilson look good.
Yeah. Well, Russell Wilson makes Russell Wilson look good. We talked about this early in the season, right? Everyone was down on him because everyone thought he was playing bad in Denver. But I told you the second half of the season, he played pretty well and he brought it to Pittsburgh and kept it going.
He's a bum. Anyways, so
I mean, I like my chances. CeeDee Lamb has still been producing even with Cooper Rush.
You've had a revival from CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith in a way.
Yeah. I mean, Devontae, he had a little rest when he got injured, so he came back, got a touchdown that helped his production last week. But I think that an extra week just means that he's that much more prepared to make things happen. Plus, A.J. Brown has been pouting on the sidelines because they're not getting enough targets. So there's a chance that the coaching staff tries to course correct and throw the ball a lot more, which obviously would benefit me to a great deal. But Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle against Houston. Houston's coming off their bye. I think that there's a chance that could be a high-scoring game, so that definitely works in my favor. But Scott has a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, he's got David Montgomery and Bijan Robinson as his running backs. Two studs, Bijan especially.
Yeah, he's been playing really well lately.
That's also a Monday night game. There's 2 Monday night games this week, and he also has Drake London, who also could be a very volatile but very, very rewarding player to have.
Especially against Vegas. I mean, their defense is booty. So,
and then you look at his other receiver in T. Higgins, who had a dud of week this week, but we all know could put up 30.
What's the chances that's happened 2 weeks in a row?
I don't know. The next guy on his list, Trey McBride, that's who you really got to be careful of. That dude is a target machine.
And the Patriots defense is not very good.
And fun enough for you, you have the tight end on the other side in Hunt 10, and he is, if you could just put up half of what McBride puts up, I think you'll be sitting pretty good, because I think that's your biggest disparity where you...
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
even Rico Dowdle, he's been playing really well. They've really been leaning on him. He's been putting up over 100 yards a week.
That's true.
But the
Dowdle-
Carolina defense has been playing really well. So we'll see how that shakes out. That's the thing, right? Scott's going up against some pretty good defenses in the Rams. The Rams pass defense has been playing really well. But the Bills defense, except for last week, has been playing well. Tennessee, we already talked about them, has a good defense. Carolina and Detroit, they have good defenses.
And I think Khalil Shakir is the Bills' favorite target. Although Amari Cooper got tons of targets this week, finally, but they're just spreading the ball out so much.
Yeah, Detroit's a really good defense, though, so we'll see.
That's true.
That might be a low-scoring game.
And
hopefully, cross my fingers.
If you think about it, the Bills, I mean, there's too many mouths to feed. Somebody always has to suffer.
And
This
Keon
week,
Coleman might be finally back.
and Kincaid this week, James Cook was the sacrifice that the Bills had to give up for everyone else to do well.
Yeah.
I imagine that
I
may
think
change.
Kincaid and Keon Coleman both were logging limited participation last week.
Yep.
So this week, there's a good chance that both of them are back. So Khalil Shakir hopefully is seeing a downtick in his targets.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a good matchup, I think.
Let's jump into the next
I hope.
matchup of it looks like Longfellow and Jay. We've got Salute Your Short Fellows and Boston Bulldogs. Looks like Longfellow is in trouble.
Is it, or has he not set his lineup? He hasn't set his lineup yet.
He's in trouble.
Is he?
Yeah. His running back game has faltered. He had the CMC Jordan Mason, didn't get the Isaac Guerrero in the sweepstakes. Finally got Jonathan Brooks back to only go out.
Yeah,
He literally has
that guy. A non-contact injury, another torn ACL.
Oh, that's what happened. I didn't even confirm that.
He's
Wow,
out.
that
He's going to be
sucks.
out for another 12 months.
Mike, you should keep him.
But that means that basically his NFL career might be over.
We'll see. I mean, it could.
Well,
be.
he missed his whole
going.
rookie year. He's going to miss his whole sophomore year, and when he comes back, he's going to be at a lower level of production, a lower level of explosiveness than he was before the first ACL tear.
Damn.
This is 2 ACL tears.
That sucks for him.
I
man.
feel bad for that guy. And missing your rookie year can have a really bad effect on the rest of your career. I've seen it with Pats players and too many times where they get injured their rookie year and they're never able to catch back up to speed. I hope that that's not the case for him. He was a really electric runner in college. But
he was the top drafted running back in the NFL this season. It wasn't a great class, but he was the top dog. So it sucks we're not going to get to see him for a while. Longfellow is relegated to James Conner, who's a pretty great running back against New England. That should be possibly pretty good.
Yeah, the New England defense is up and down. Sometimes they play well, sometimes they play really badly. So we'll see how they do.
But behind that, I mean, if Travis Homer can get a job and keep a job, Longfellow's currently got a questionable Travis Homer playing Monday night, who's got like a .44 projection. And then he's got Chris Rodriguez, or is it Christian Rodriguez?
I don't know.
It is Chris Rodriguez. He is the Washington fourth stringer who is getting time because everyone in front of him is hurt. And
he had a good game before the bye, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he got 13 carries. They were dominating that game, so he got a lot more play. And Brian Robinson is now healthy, although I'm
they're
sure
going
he's
up
still
against
banged
New
up.
Orleans. So, I mean, New Orleans is not a good team. Derek Carr just broke his hand and will be out for the rest of the season. So there's a chance that they could be ahead and wanting to rest Brian Robinson.
And then Salute Your Short Fellows also has yet to put Terry McLaurin in. I imagine he would probably do that for
Brandon Cooks.
Or even K-Dot. And,
well, no, K-Dot gets looks. You got to keep him in. Yeah, not lately, but
I mean, Brandon Cooks outscored him this week. He's scored in the last 4 weeks. 8.5, 4, 6, and 10.
Brandon Cooks got 1 catch for 3 yards and a touchdown.
Was it only 1 catch?
Yeah,
I missed the game because
you got to take him out.
I started watching the Simpsons broadcast. It was pretty fun for about 10 minutes, and then I realized why am I watching
when you're out of the playoffs?
Why am I watching the Cowboys game? Get out of here. So
yeah, anyways. I mean, I would imagine that he's probably putting the Broncos against Indianapolis instead of the Bills. So that should be a chance for some big points.
But I doubt Sam Darnold's going to have a performance quite like the one we just saw. That's his ceiling. 5 touchdowns, great performance, great week.
Chicago's
for
got
the Vikings.
I think the best pass defense in the league.
It's the second best against quarterbacks, and then he does have some powerhouses in Mike Evans and Jaden Reed, but he just goosed. George Kittle, a beast. He's playing great. Definitely log him in.
Yeah.
And then it's either K. Dotton or Brandon Cooks.
Cedric Tillman, if he's back, he might be an option.
Yeah, he's been out for like 3 weeks with a concussion, so that's not looking great. And then Mike has the Broncos defense against his favorite team, the Colts, and then the Bills against the Lions. So I imagine the Broncos will be going in.
So on Jay's side of things, it's not looking great for Boston Bulldogs either. Right now with the lineup he's got slated, it's expected to put up 118 points to Mike's 96. Again, Mike's will change when he puts in Terry McLaurin, who, let's see, he's expected 14.63.
It's like a 6-point boost.
Yeah, it's like,
or an 8-point boost.
8-point boost. So we're talking about 104 to 118. Maybe Mike can pick someone up off the waiver wire who's better than Travis Homer's 0.44.
Now Jay might want to play some defense as he has he's the 6th seed. Mike's actually the 3 seed, so Jay's going to get to pick before him. And Jay might need to fill in for Breece Hall again. I mean, he does have DeAndre Swift and Tyrone Tracy, so he might just want to pick up a running back to play defense against Mike. Yeah. And he also has Pollard, so he's got viable options.
And he's got some good options on his bench. He can put Darnell Mooney in. Ray McLeod has been playing well, although I don't think you want to play both of the ATL wide receivers.
Definitely keep Kyle Pitts on your bench, but maybe even plug in Juwan Johnson. Then again, not really, because Mark Andrews has been coming on.
Caleb Williams is probably a better option to start than Pat Mahomes against the Cleveland defense. Pat has not been playing well.
But it is the Minnesota defense.
They're good, but Caleb's been playing well against good defenses. So
not this week.
No, I didn't see what he put up this week.
This week he didn't put up anything. It was so bad.
I thought it was like, let me see.
He got crushed this week.
Yeah. Caleb. 14 points. Not good.
I mean, team, I feel like he was probably the best player on the team.
I feel like Pat Mahomes only put up like 16 this week, so.
Yeah. Jay's backup receiver core is not the greatest. I mean, Tutu Atwell, Allen Lazard, Ray McLeod. Darnell Mooney is definitely a hot ticket, though.
I think he's worth starting.
Now, that would be, basically Breece is out. You still want to start Pollard, Swift, and Tracy in comparison to those receivers we just mentioned. And then he might want to, slot in Darnell Mooney, even if Breece Hall plays, maybe over Swift.
Yeah, I mean,
or Tracy. It's kind of gamble. It's a coin toss there. So
Keenan Allen had 2 big weeks in weeks 12 and 13 where he put up 23 and 24, but the rest of the season he's been single digits. So I wonder if you put Mooney in instead of Keenan Allen, or do you hope that?
No, I think since their coach, their offensive coordinator was fired, Keenan Allen started seeing the targets. Then their coach got fired, and he's still getting targets. I mean, it didn't translate to fantasy value this week.
He's been eating off of touchdowns, though. He's got 3 20-point games this season, and all of them are based off of touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's a hot red zone target. That's like they're going back to basics. And that's actually maybe a good thing for DeAndre Swift as well, although he didn't perform this week either, just because the San Francisco 49ers shut down the Bears so tremendously that nobody did.
DeAndre Swift has not been playing well lately. He's got, in the last 3 weeks, 5 points, 9 points, 9 points. The week before that was 16, but then 7 before that. So it's like, that's risky to me, starting Swift against a really stout Minnesota defense.
That's true. You never really know what to expect.
There's some decisions that got to be made in this matchup. Seeing whether Breece Hall will. All right, and we have breaking news. George Pickens is doubtful for Week 15.
Damn, that really sucks.
So Marvelous, you're without probably your 3rd best wide receiver. So this matchup between Mike and Jay,
I wonder if Mike Williams becomes a much hotter target this week for the waiver wire. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use the help and have lesser options. So
I think if anything, those targets would go to like Calvin Austin, who he's kind of hit or miss. But
this week he didn't.
It was like 1 catch for 4 yards, I think.
Well, Calvin Austin, he had 1 for 3, and then Mike Williams had 3 for 4 for 36. I mean,
3 of 4 for 36. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that great.
Yeah,
Tim Patrick is probably a better option. There's a lot of actually good waiver pickups this week. We'll get into that a little later, or we won't. So you guys could all kind of dance around.
Yeah, I don't think we should talk waiver this week. I think we should let people do what they do.
Yeah, that means I'm going to start stealing all the players.
All right, so let's get to the last matchup for the week.
The 4 and 5 seed in Steal Your Face Mask. Billy at 8-6, finishing at 8-6, facing off against Aggie at 7-7.
Yeah, so Aggie's on a 2-game losing streak, whereas Bill, he had lost a bunch, but he won this most recent week. Thank you, Billy.
And now Billy's back to full strength, looking dominant, but Aggie's actually projected for the win so far. Both teams are stacked. I mean, there's nothing you can't say. I wouldn't want to face either of these guys. I know we were saying that the 1, 2, 7, and 8 are the hottest teams right now, but the 4, 5 should not be overlooked. Now, as you look down their list, I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the only questionable player in this entire lineup.
Well, if I'm Billy, I'm not feeling too confident because Lamar Jackson's going to get his numbers against the Giants because they suck. But Taylor against the Denver defense, that defense is really brutal. Good. And the Indianapolis offense has not been playing well. And
Taylor's kind of been slowing down, but he did put together a good performance before the bye week.
Against New England, though. Our defense is not that good.
That's true, but the Denver defense is good on all fronts. So I feel like you're not going to just switch to the pass and not give Jonathan Taylor his due.
So look at how he did against Detroit, a similar defense, 35 rushing yards. Against the Jets, who are not a good defense but have good players, 57 rushing yards. Buffalo, he put up 114, which was good. But then Minnesota, 48.
But here's what you're missing. Now, the Lions, that game was over in a flash, right? Or was it? Did the Colts actually stay in that game?
It was only 24-6.
Either way, Jonathan Taylor only got 11 carries in that game. Against the Patriots, he got 25. Against the Jets, he got 24. Against the Bills, he got 21. Now, understandably, against Jets, 24 carries for 57 yards. That's nothing to call home about. But 114 on 21, 105 and a touchdown on 20 against the Texans 2 weeks prior. What about 96 Minnesota? On 25. Minnesota, he only had 13 carries for 48 yards. It's not horrible. And that was after injury when he came back from the Texans. So he's a great player. Let's not discount him. But yes, you're right. There is worry playing against the Denver defense. I think their passing defense is stronger than their running defense, though. So that actually might bode well for Taylor.
Even Kyron Williams, who had 25 carries, I think, on Sunday, going up against a San Francisco defense that has not been playing great, but they're playing on Thursday. That's a quick turnaround. Quick turnarounds tend not to be good for fantasy.
Carries.
29.
Yeah, that's I watched every single one of them with disgust. But yeah, the San Francisco defense is 23rd against running backs as of right now. They are not the defense we've known them to be for the last 4 or 5 years.
Marvin Harrison going up against New England. If he gets shadowed by Christian Gonzalez,
forget it.
He is done. He's not scoring anything.
Now the thing is, they will force feed him targets, but that's probably just going to bode poorly for Kyler Murray and him throwing more interceptions that look like shit.
Yeah. I mean, the Pats don't get a lot of turnovers, so I don't know about that. But the chances that Marvin Harrison goes off against Christian Gonzalez is low. He's not a burner. Brian Thomas is the only guy that has caught a long pass against Christian Gonzalez. I'd be worried about the Marvin Harrison matchup.
But here's the thing. He's got Garrett Wilson facing the Jaguars, and he's got Amari Cooper facing Detroit. These guys have been
again,
hyper targeted.
yeah, but again, what's happening with Buffalo? We've got Keon Coleman coming back. We got Dalton Kincaid
This is
coming
the-
back.
this is the
we
thing,
got
though.
Khalil Shakir already there.
Very true. But Amari Cooper, his target volume has grown tremendously. Let's look at it. Let's check the stats
Yeah, but
out.
no one's been playing.
He had,
There's no one else to throw to.
here's the thing. Last week was the same lineup. The same guys were out. Keon and Dalton were out. He only had 3 targets last week against the good 49ers defense. He caught all 3 targets for only 12 yards. This past week, he had 14 targets and caught only 6 of them for 95 and still put up a good day. He's playing a Lions defense that has to be bad to the receiver because that's all they see. Nobody's running against the Lions. Everybody's playing from behind.
So,
Now,
I mean-
being that it's the Bills, this is going to be an awesome game, and I think it's going to be a high volume, high scoring output for all these players. I really do.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, I could see Detroit really leaning on the running game and making it a low scoring affair. If you, like I said, if you've got Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid back, you got to be worried about Amari Cooper.
You know how I just figured out a way to see over 100 points in an NFL game. If the Lions traded for Jameis Winston, it would be awesome. And they played the Bills. That would be 112 total points scored.
That might be like 200 total points scored.
Yeah, and then let's not forget Jonnu Smith. I hate you, Jonnu Smith. I hate you so much. You and your stupid goose egg, only to catch 3 targets for some odd amount of yards
a
and the
touchdown.
game-winning touchdown.
I think it was 3 for 44 and a touchdown.
That was the seal of the deal. He put up 13.5 fantasy points on
just
the
in
overtime
overtime.
drive, and he is way better than that. So let's thank you for the mirage.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance against Houston because I don't think that Houston has a great. Oh, and Aziz is out, right? So
That's true.
They might be susceptible to Jonnu up the middle,
But they are number 4 against tight ends on the year.
right? But their middle linebacker is out now.
That's true.
You know, I don't know how they play defense. I don't know if they put their safeties on him. Either way, Jonnu or Devon Achane, hopefully Devon, is going off for a good game.
And Waddle continues his beast mode mentality. Now, MVS, I just realized something. They're playing Washington. This could be...
Derek Carr is out for the season.
Yes, however, and okay, Olave may be back this week. If that happens, obviously you dump MVS. It doesn't mean Olave is going to be a world beater. However, this
but
is
who does he
probably
start instead?
this
Maybe
is probably
Tank
why
Bigsby?
he put in Devon Vele. This is probably why Billy slotted and picked up Vele prior to Monday night's game yesterday.
Yeah, maybe.
And
I mean, I think that if I'm him, I'm probably putting Tank Bigsby over MVS.
Bigsby was the leading running back for the Jaguars this week with 18 carries.
And they're playing the Jets, who can give up some yards.
Yeah, but do you really want to rely on Mac Jones in the running game against a reasonable defense against the running back?
Well, yeah, I'd much rather rely on the running game with Mac Jones playing than the passing game.
I don't know. I would gamble on Vele or even Wan'Dale Robinson over him. I definitely would play Bigsby over Javonte Williams, though. That 10.3 projection is a mirage. That is bullshit. The Broncos running game sucks. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, Indianapolis, their run defense is pretty good. They've got DeForest Buckner, I think, there in the middle.
they're number 29 against running backs on the season.
Are
So,
they?
Yeah,
Well-
this year they're not that good. Probably just because they're getting ran on over and over. They're playing from behind. So
Yeah, so then maybe Javonte is the guy.
well, let's look on the other side of the matchup. This is a team that, to be honest with you, this team could put up the most points in league history with the lineup they have.
Yeah, they should. Like, they've got a chance to be really good.
Yeah, they do. I would probably bench Deebo Samuel though. I would probably bench Deebo, and I wouldn't play Nick Chubb in his place or Dontavian Wicks.
Oh, I would probably put in Dalvin Cook.
You know what? Just leave that one blank.
No. You know who's actually a good option? Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier. He gets his looks. Now, if Keon Coleman's playing, that's probably who I'm starting. But, like, he's a rookie coming off a lot of missed games. Like, that's risky. But, no, never mind. Tyler
I don't know,
Algier,
man.
He's got one good game
this
in
is
the last,
This
like,
is
10
a whole
weeks.
bunch of, you know what?
That's tough,
You
yeah.
need to pick somebody up off the waiver wire, and that's going to be playable over Debo. That's what you need to do.
Watch Nick Chubb go off for, like, 30 points.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the best. I mean, he's clearly the best name on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, he had 19 in Week 12 against Pittsburgh.
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 Hey, I'm Jason Pittsburgh.
12 and a half against Denver, but only 21 rushing yards, 24 receiving yards. A touchdown is what got him that 12 and a half. And then only 48 rushing yards against, against Pittsburgh again. But Pittsburgh is a really good defense. KC is okay. They've got Chris Jones there in the middle, but I don't know. Nick Chubb might be an option.
Now, let's go to his lineup. Jaden Daniels, outstanding. He's playing against the Saints. It should be a pretty productive day for Jaden Daniels.
Well, we'll see, because they could be up early.
I agree, but I feel like he's gonna sling and run and probably run a lot, being that it's
Maybe.
him and Brian Robinson.
Maybe.
And hopefully
We'll
Chris
see.
Rodriguez.
We'll see. I mean, I could see a world where they go up early and they just rely on their running game, not wanting to get him hurt as they're getting ready for the playoffs.
And then when you look down, you got Saquon Barkley and Najee Harris both going up against tough defenses.
Yeah.
Saquon against Pittsburgh and Najee against Philly. However, you are starting them and not worrying about it.
Yeah, I mean, Najee, you're worrying about it a little bit. He just had a good game 2 weeks ago, but other than that 24-point game, he hasn't gotten over 13 and a half since week 8. And that 24.9 was on 75 rushing yards and a touchdown and 54 receiving yards. But that 54 receiving yards is tied for the most he's had all year.
He's been crazy consistent, though, in the amount of carries he's got. Since week 7, he's had 21, 19, 21, 18, 16, 16, 16. Now, here's the problem, that targets. He didn't receive any targets this past week. The prior week, he got those 6. That's where he scored that 24.9. So he needs to get targets to be productive. And he's got a gauntlet of teams to face in the playoffs if Aggie stays alive and makes it to the championship. He's got the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, which are 3 of the best rushing defenses. So he's going to have to hope that Najee just is on that Derrick Henry juice where he's just beasting through guys and throwing guys
Yeah,
to
I
the ground.
mean, realistically, if he can just get double digits from Najee, then Saquon should be able to carry the bulk of the load for his running backs. And then his wide receivers are
Awesome.
really boomer. Well, they're kind of boomer bust.
I think they're awesome.
Jerry Jeudy can obviously put up 40 points, which he did.
He's on fire. There's no way he's getting less than 10 targets in a game against the Chiefs. I think upwards of 14, and I think he's going to have another monster day. Maybe not as monstrous as the performance against the Broncos 2 weeks
Listen,
ago.
he's been
but
putting up double-digit games ever since week 8, so he's pretty much slotted
basically
in for
since
double
Winston
digits.
came in.
Basically.
And he's number 11 in the league right now. I mean, he grew from, he was
235 receiving yards will do that for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this guy, he was drafted, and we all looked at it like, oh, maybe Jeudy. We have Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy. Like Jerry Jeudy could be a legit number 2, and now he's, launched into the number 1 position.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Now Cedric Tillman, if he comes back, does that eat into Jerry Jeudy's volume, or does that open Jerry Jeudy up even more? As Cedric Tillman is a tall receiver,
it definitely eats into his target share.
It'll eat into his target share, but will it give him more
efficiency.
valuable targets?
Right.
And then Zay Flowers, you're right with his boomer bust play, but he's number 15 on the season, and that's not anything to look away from.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some big games. He's
kind of fallen
here's the
off.
thing. Right, the last 4 weeks, he's got 10 points, 11 points, 12 points, and 7 points, right? So it's like, that's not making you feel great.
And I'm seeing a 4-2 and a 5 in there earlier in the season.
And it's starting to get cold. They're going to be playing in Giant Stadium this week. It kind of depends on what the weather's looking like. But like playing in Giant Stadium, it's not an easy place to throw the ball around.
It's going to be a Derrick Henry fest. Too bad Babalu's not in it.
Probably.
Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins going up against Cleveland. Cleveland is the number 24 defense against wide receivers and tight ends, so that bodes well for both of these guys. But how much volume can they put up in a game that might be, the Chiefs' final score might have half those points scored from the defense and special teams?
Kelsey's last 4 weeks are 9.5, 13.8, 12, and 2.8, right? Pat Mahomes is not playing great. Kelsey's not helping things out much. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 10.
And his targets, in week 8, 9, and 10, he had 12, 16, and 12. Since then, he's had 4, 8, 13 last week, and 6 this past week. He has a good matchup against the Browns. It looks like he's doing well. He gets a lot of targets against good matchups. It looks like Patrick Mahomes is just dissecting these defenses prior to actually playing them by looking at the numbers. So you might have, you might have a good week out of him this week. And if you survive, he plays the Texans next week. So good luck to you, sir.
Yeah, D-Hop has been averaging about 13.5 points the last 3 weeks. 2 of those weeks were based off of touchdowns, though, where he had 35 yards and 32 yards. We'll see against Cleveland.
He's.
I think that you're looking at maybe a high end of like 15 points, but he could be closer to like week 11 against Buffalo, where he only put up 6.
Here's the thing, though. It always comes back to targets. When targeted 9 times or more, it's only been 3 times this season. In the last 6 games, 3 of those games he had 9 targets. The last 2 games he was targeted 9 times. He put up only 13 points in those 2 games, and then 14.5 on 6 targets the game prior. But he put up 28.6 the first time he was targeted 9 times. This guy is who he is. It's DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he could put up that 30-point game that you need, especially against the last time he played a bad defense against wide receivers was against the Bucs. He put up 28.6. He hasn't faced a bad defense since week 3 before that against the Packers when he wasn't even on the Chiefs.
Nope.
And he put up 19.3. So he's got the juice, and Mahomes is looking at the defense that he's about to face and knowing where their weaknesses are. And I think that DeAndre Hopkins is in for a great week along with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll be relying on the running game. That's a stout front 7.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that they're trying to throw the ball.
So we could see Mahomes go off, and we could see all his receiving players go off, and we could see the Chiefs defense go off. And we could even see Jameis Winston and company, including Jerry Jeudy, go absolutely off.
Yeah, I think that both these teams, this is why if you look at the expectations they're really close.
The flow chart is awesome. It's like neck and neck. It looks like you guys are skiing next to each other.
Basically. So I think it's going to be a good week for the playoffs. I think that we're going to have close matchups. I think that the likelihood of a blowout in any of these games is pretty low, and we're probably going to see an upset somewhere along the way. But
I'm sure somebody out there is going to put up 175 plus, and it might be a couple teams.
Yeah, it might be. We had. Let's see. We had 4 teams that had the possibility of putting over 150 last week, and 5. 5? Yeah, I think 3 of them are in the playoffs this week. So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a good week.
Should be really good.
Except for you guys, because
we get the week off, and I get to stay analyze and Oh, by the way, you cover Billy Aggie and Marv Collin, and right. I will cover
the other 2
games.
Me and
Scott and Longfellow and Jay. Gotcha.
Right, sounds good.
All right, guys, that will bring us to our next segment. Dude, what happened? Damn, it took a while to get here.
The Packers at the Lions. Titletown versus Titleist Town. Jordan Love and the Pack attempted to close the lead on the first place Lions, a sentence I wasn't sure I'd ever make in my life. But 2 punts and a fumble to start the game weren't the way they envisioned opening things up, as they found themselves behind 7-0 at the end of one. Their only other drive of the first half led to 7, but an inability to stop the Lions from scoring had them behind 17-7 at the half. A score they wouldn't be able to overcome in the end, on a day where Josh Jacobs scored 3 touchdowns, but only put up 66 rushing yards. Christian Watson had 4 catches for 114 yards, one that would have been a touchdown on a better throw from Jordan Love, who went 12 of 20 for 206 and a touchdown to Tucker Kraft, who caught 3 for 41 and that TD. Meanwhile, another efficient game from Goff, who went 32 of 41 for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, kept the Lions on schedule on a day where the running backs couldn't do much on the ground. But all 6 players who had catches caught 5 or 6 passes each. And Dan Gamble's addiction to going for it on 4th down ended up being the difference between the explosive Packers and the efficient Lions.
Detroit owns the night and the ball as they take 74 offensive snaps compared to Green Bay's 43. Even though Josh Jacobs ran for another 3, the Detroit full 4-down offense proves too potent as they fend off Green Bay's field goal to tie the game with under 4 minutes left in the game with a field goal of their own as they drain the clock and claim victory 34-31.
The Jaguars at the Titans. 2 of the worst teams in football squared off to see who could hold on to the mantle of bottom dweller in the AFC South. Backup Mac Jones was efficient, but also threw 2 picks for a lowly 32.9 QB rating in a game that showed why New England fans were so eager to replace his number 10 jersey, whereas Tank Bigsby's fantasy day was saved by a touchdown after an inefficient 18 runs yielded only 55 yards. And Brian Thomas was saved by high volume on a day where he caught 8 passes for 86 yards. Meanwhile, Will Levis completed only 19 of 32 passes for a pathetic 168 yards and a laughable 20.6 QBR. To waste a good day for Tony Pollard, who had 21 rushes for 102 yards, and an okay effort from Calvin Ridley, who had 7 catches on 12 targets for 59 yards.
2 teams that end the day at 3-10, a lot to be desired, vanished with the clock as Jacksonville wins 10-6.
The Jets at the Dolphins. 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers' new documentary shows that he was fully dialed in this offseason. Not that he decided to show up to camp late so he could finish said documentary, right? Well, whatever he was doing instead of training with his teammates, we can soon bear witness to with a Netflix subscription or good pirating software. Luckily for Jets players and fans, it only took about 12 or 13 weeks for A.A. Ron to develop chemistry with his guys, as he went 27 of 39 for 339 yards and 1 touchdown for a 104.5 passer rating by tossing 10 attempts to Garrett Wilson, who caught 7 for 114, and 11 to Davante Adams, who caught 9 for 109 and a touchdown, to go along with 4 yards per carry from Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, who split carries on the day. Meanwhile, Tua and the Dolphins still can't get their running game going, but were able to have a day passing the ball without Sauce holding every play, as Tua tossed for 33 of 47 for 331 and 2 tutties for an almost identical 104 passer rating to his 40-year-old counterpart, by peppering Tyreek with 14 targets for 10 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle with 12 targets for 9 catches and 99 yards. Devon Achane with 6 catches on 7 targets for 45 yards. And Jonnu Smith with the game-winning drive, catching 3 for 44 and a touchdown in OT.
Somehow the Jets were able to keep up with a Dolphins team that has been firing on all cylinders of late. So much that they pushed this one to overtime, only to crack open Jonnu Smith's goose egg and be served the worst omelet they ever had, as the Jets lose this one 32-26.
The Falcons at the Vikings. Is Kirk Cousins broken? He threw for 344 yards on 23 completions, but 2 of them went to the other team, as he now has 15 picks on the season, ruining a huge game from Darnell Mooney with 6 catches for 142 yards. Ray McLeod with 8 catches for 98 yards. Bijan Robinson with 92 yards rushing with a touchdown on 22 carries. And Tyler Algier with 63 yards and a touchdown on 9 carries. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold is back to his dealing ways as he throws a massive 5 touchdowns and 347 passing yards on 22 of 28 passing for an almost perfect 157.9 passer rating, by throwing to Jordan Addison 12 times for 8 catches, 133 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And to Justin Jefferson 7 times for 7 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns, while Aaron Jones had 73 yards and a touchdown on 13 carries.
Sam Darnold shows off with 5 TDs, 2 to JJ and 3 to Jordan Addison, as Cousins' return to Minnesota is met with boos and having his former team double up Atlanta's score as Minnesota wins 42-21.
The Saints at the Giants. What a stinker. In a game where neither QB threw for more than 230 yards, and QB Drew Lock was the game's leading rusher with 59 yards, there wasn't production going on. Fortunately for Giants fans, the Saints blocked the last-minute field goal to keep the Giants in range to pick a QB in the upcoming draft. Unfortunately for the Saints, Derek Carr broke his hand and will miss more games than he played this season.
The New York Football Giants almost lost their top draft selection next season. However, a late comeback is stopped as New Orleans gets across the line and blocks what would have been the game-tying field goal. The Saints end up losing Carr to injury, but winning this one 14-11.
The Panthers at the Eagles. Bryce Young has been playing inspired football ever since his benching, and that didn't change against an impressive Eagles defense. 19 of 34 for 191 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception doesn't tell the whole story, as rookie Xavier Legette only catches 2 for 39 yards on 8 targets. But old man Thielen catches 9 for 102 on 11 targets. To help things along, Chuba Hubbard had added 92 yards and a touchdown on 26 carries, but rookie Jonathan Brooks tore his ACL on his first carry, as his rookie season will be devoted to recovery, and his career might be derailed before it can even start. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown might have beef, but Hurts throwing for 2 touchdowns and running for 1 more could be worse, as none of his receivers catches more than 4 passes for more than 45 yards, but Saquon goes for over 120 yards yet again.
It was noted that some idiot bet $3 million on an Eagles straight-up win. Boy, he must have been sitting sideways as Bryce Young looked legit with the 5-yard shirt on a Chuba touchdown drive while rookie Jonathan Brooks goes back to his office in the blue tent. A game-winning drive was in the cards for the Panthers, but they give it up on downs and the Eagles clinch a playoff spot with the win 22-16, and that idiot wins about $400,000.
The Browns at the Steelers. Jameis taketh, Jameis giveth away. In classic Jabu fashion, he threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on 24 for 41 passing for 212 yards as the Browns coaches feel that throwing the ball 40 times while running it 20 times is a winning formula despite their noticeable lack of winning. Meanwhile, the Steelers keep rolling over underwhelming opposition, but defense goes a long way as no one on the Steelers runs or catches for more than 55 yards.
The Cleveland offense comes down to earth and loses its competitive edge as they miss field goals to end the first half and to start the second. The momentum shift helps Russell Wilson look okay, and the Steelers get their revenge on the division rival from a few short weeks ago. Pittsburgh 27, Cleveland 14.
The Raiders at the Buccaneers. Shador gets one more opportunity to tweet "Thank you, God," as QBs Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder post almost identical stats as they combine for 23 of 37 passing for 206 yards by throwing to Maya and Myers for almost identical 7 catches for 68 yards. Meanwhile, Baker has another really good game despite throwing 2 picks on 18 of 29 passing for 295 yards and 3 touchdowns, while rookie sensation Bucky Irving goes out early with an injury as Rachaad White shows why he was my keeper this season while sitting on my bench, as he goes off for 90 yards rushing and a touchdown on 17 attempts while adding another touchdown on 2 receptions. And rookie Jalen McMillan catches 2 touchdowns of his own on 4 receptions for 59 yards, and Cade Otton catches 3 for 70 yards. And Mike Evans also goes out early with an injury. I don't think that actually happened.
I missed that. I was going to say Bucky exits early and Rachaad White takes the helm looking like Derrick Henry with the stiff arm first down rumble. Jalen McMillan helps Baker with the cookies as Vegas' best offensive players are Desmond Ridder, Sincere McCormick, and Michael Mayer. Who? Tampa Bay 28, Vegas 13.
The Seahawks at the Cardinals. Geno Smith continues the stellar play by the former Jersey draft pick as he goes 24 of 30 for 233 yards and 1 touchdown for a 110 passer rating by throwing 5 for 82 and a touchdown to JSN and 7 for 59 to Zach Charbonnet, who was the real hero of the game by taking over for an injured Kenneth Walker and rushing for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on 22 carries to go along with his 7 catches. Meanwhile, Kyler continues to play quarterback like he's studying the wrong video game tape as he throws 2 interceptions to go along with his 2 touchdowns, while James Conner runs for 90 yards and scores a receiving touchdown on 4 catches, and Trey McBride catches 7 for 70.
Kyler Murray reverse hustles himself into a hole as Zach Charbonnet eats up all the fantasy points like a gluttonous pig in what was almost a rout. Seattle 30, Arizona 18.
The Bills at the Rams. Josh Allen becomes the first quarterback to throw for 3 touchdowns and pass for 3 more in the same game by throwing for 22 of 37 for 342 yards and adding 82 yards rushing on 10 carries to also become the first QB ever to post more than 50 fantasy points. The main beneficiaries were Khalil Shakir, who went 4 for 106 and a touchdown, Amari Cooper, who went 6 for 95 yards, and Mac Hollins and Ty Johnson, who both had touchdown catches. Unfortunately for them, Sean McDermott isn't a very good coach. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford is also a very good QB, and he posted an even better QB rating of 132 than Josh's 117 by completing 23 of 30 attempts for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns, throwing to Puka 14 times for 12 catches and 162 yards and 1 touchdown, and Cooper Kupp for 5 catches, 92 yards and a touchdown, while Kyren Williams rushed 26 times for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fortunately for them, Sean McVay is a very good coach.
Last week, Josh Allen was Amari Cooper. This week, he was James Cook, looking like Josh Jacobs with 3 touchdowns on 8.2 yards a carry. He almost threw for almost 350 yards and 3 TDs, no picks. And it is just not enough, as Puka Nacua and Kyren Williams make everyone remember why they love and hate fantasy football. Rams 44, Bills 42.
The Bears at the 49ers. The Bears didn't play well, even though Caleb's passer rating of 116 was good. He only threw for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on 17 completions. In his defense, he got no help from his teammates, and no one rushed or caught for more than 50 yards. Though both touchdown receptions went to rookie Rome Odunze on 4 catches for 42 yards. Meanwhile, the 49ers all ate as Brock Purdy threw 20 of 25 for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns to post a 145 passer rating by throwing to George Kittle 6 times for 152 yards, Juwan Jennings for 7 receptions, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and Isaac Guerrero rushed for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns on 15 carries, while adding 2 receptions for 50 yards.
The Chicago offense remained in neutral all game as Isaac Guerrero, George Kittle, and Juwan Jennings go nuclear, and San Francisco gives Chicago a beating, 38-13.
The Chargers at the Chiefs. Justin Herbert is the best QB on the field, throwing to Josh Palmer, Stone Smart, and Quentin Johnson, blah, blah, blah. The Chiefs win on a doink, and everyone is disappointed except Chiefs fans.
Well, what do you know? The Chiefs barely survive again on a last-second field goal that hits the post in a good way. The Chiefs clinch their division with another barely won game, 19-17 over the Chargers.
The Bengals at the Cowboys. Joe Burrow is the best passer in the league, and I don't know if it's close, as he throws for 33 of 44 for 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But it helps having Jamar Chase, who caught 14 receptions for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Chase Brown caught 6 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown to go along with 58 yards rushing. Meanwhile, Rico Dowdle put up another big game rushing for 131 yards on 18 carries, while half of Cooper Rush's production went to CeeDee Lamb, who caught 6 passes for 93 yards and a touchdown. But their comeback was ruined by a rare block kick, which was touched by the receiving team, but recovered by the kicking team.
The Simpsons. It was cute. Meanwhile, the fantasy cheat code is at it again as Jamar Chase stacks the stat sheet, putting up another 45-plus point performance. Dallas tries their best, but let's remember, folks, they suck. And always will, as Cincinnati defeats Dallas 27-20. This was the
Pundown.
Now we will move along to the
Injury list.
All right. So we've mentioned some of these, but we'll just go through them real quick. We've got Keon Coleman, limited practice this week, might be back week 15. Check the practice report. We have Dalton Kincaid, back week 15. Not that it helps Brendan.
Bullshit.
Then we've got Josh Downs. Coaches are not sure if he'll be back this week. Colin, you got to check the practice report. Then we have Lad McConkey, Laddie Boy. Limited practice 3 times last week. He'll likely be back this week.
We also failed to mention that Sean played... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, we didn't even do the Peter rundown yet.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Next we have Isaac Garendo. Comments are reassuring. Most running backs would miss week 15, however, with an ankle injury. George Pickens with a grade 2 hamstring injury. As we reported earlier, he has been downgraded to doubtful. He would be a heavy outlier to play this week. On average, it's a 2 to 4 week injury, so he might be out for the whole playoffs. Next, we have Kenneth Walker. The prior reports were optimistic. He missed last week, but leaning towards missing this week as well. Doesn't matter for Brendan, but it does matter for Zach Charbonnet. Bucky Irving, hip and back. Practice report is key. He might be back this week, but he might be out till week 17. I'm hoping for the latter. No offense. I hope you're doing well, Bucky Irving.
So you can climb it?
Huh?
Climb the ladder.
Yeah. Jonathan Brooks tore his ACL on a non-contact injury.
Jeez, dude.
He'll be back, but who knows if he'll be any good. Normally, it's a 12-month injury, and when you come back, you have a loss of explosiveness. Mike, you can drop him. No point in trying to keep him. Aiden O'Connell, bone bruise. Average is 1 to 2 weeks, but with QBs, they're more likely to play through it, so he's probably back this week.
Does it matter?
Derek Carr, concussion and hand fracture. He's out for the season. Who knows if he'll be back with the Saints next year. Will Dissly, shoulder injury. Not going on IR, but likely out a couple weeks, probably back week 16 or week 17. Rashad Bateman with a knee injury. Participated Monday in practice. There is a chance that he'll be playing again week 15. Not a big deal for Baba, but it means something to I Fucks Your Mom with Zay Flowers. Demarcus Robinson, his shoulders AC sprain. I checked the practice report, but he'll probably be back this week or next. Brees Hall.
This is a big one.
Knee injury. He was ruled out last minute, but no indication he'll be shut down for the year. So you're going to have to check that practice report. Even if he plays this week, there's a chance that he'll be on a snap count, so be wary. Justin Herbert has a leg contusion, but he said that it shouldn't be an issue. He should be back playing this week. And Travis Homer, who has a head injury, check the practice report.
Who will take Travis Homer's place is the biggest question of the week.
Well, Roshan Johnson missed with a
head
concussion,
injury
right?
himself. Yeah.
Well, I think that's different. I don't think Travis Homer had a concussion, did he? I think he had like a legitimate
like
head
a
injury.
Broken jaw, or like
I don't know.
Bump on the head. Like
all I saw was head
like
injury.
an egg on the face.
Yeah, all I saw was head injury. Normally they say a concussion if it's a concussion, so I'm not sure exactly what the issue is. Roshan Johnson might be back this week, but maybe it's just DeAndre Swift taking the whole load. Hey, yo.
That could bode well for some fantasy playoff contenders.
Yeah, it could. But you gotta check. Travis Homer's not doing much anyway. Then again, neither is DeAndre Swift. I think that's everybody, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Let's see. We're looking at Josh Downs with the potential of missing another game. That's gonna. He's in Colin's lineup right now, so that's just a big deal.
Yeah, I mentioned Josh Downs.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at my fantasy playoff lineups in my other leagues.
Yeah, I went through it. I went through it like that. I think I got everyone.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So I think we can move along. You definitely. I mean, being that you touched upon Travis Homer,
Yeah, I felt like I didn't do my job last week when you
'cause I
mentioned more
cleaned up
people, more people than I did.
I'm certain that you looked much more in depth into the injury list this week.
Instead of relying on my guy on Twitter, the doctor guy, I decided to also go through the lineups and who everyone held this week and looked at all the questionable tags.
What about Alexander Madison or Chris Olave? Not that it matters.
It doesn't matter, so I did not include them.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that brings us into the PETA rundown. I'm going to let you start this.
All right.
Because I, want to get this over with.
All right. East Coast virus versus steal your face mask.
Steal your season.
Steal your hopes and dreams.
Steal your trophy, damn it.
Better watch out, you're going to steal your wife. All right, so in the second most important matchup for my weekend, our co-commissioners faced off in a closely contested battle that started out with an underwhelming showing from Amon-Ra St. Brown on Thursday night.
And his orange freaking shoes.
To Brendan's dismay, he scored well below his expected 16.17 points, putting up a measly 10.3 points on 5 catches for 43 yards and 1 rush for 10 yards, despite the Lions putting up 34 points. This was his lowest output since week 8, but the third game in a row under 13 points, and his third lowest output of the season. Going into Sunday, Steal Your Face Mask had to be feeling confident, and an early start for Baker Mayfield, who SYF got in a trade with Captain Cannabis, got the ball rolling for Billy. A strike to Garrett Wilson early in the second quarter had this matchup just about tied, as the score would stay close going into the 4 o'clock game, with each East Coast virus getting an expected 7.7 points from Jerome Ford, his third highest score since week 5, 12.9 points from Calvin Ridley, right in line with his expectation during an up and down season for him that hasn't seen 15 points since week 10 and only 3 times this season, 16.6 points from Brian Thomas, 4 points over expected, marking his 5th highest score of the season despite having Mac Jones at quarterback, but 2 points below last week. 16 points from kicker Jason Sanders, his highest output of the season, and 7 points from the Vikings defense, only their 5th time under double digits for the season, but the 3rd time in 3 games. Steal Your Face Mask countered with a strong 19 points from Baker, which was on par with expectations, and 9 points over the week before. 13.2 from Tank Bigsby was twice what was expected of him. 18.4 from Garrett Wilson on a 7 for 114 stat line, his first time in double digits since a 30-point explosion in week 9. 13.4 points from Jonnu Smith, all of them coming in overtime, much to the chagrin of East Coast virus. And 9 points from Marquez Valdez-Scantling, as expected. To start the 4 o'clock games, it was anyone's match to be had. 19.6 points from Jackson Smith and Jigma had Brendan breathing a sigh of relief, but 23.7 points from Kyren Williams, his first 20-plus games since week 8, meant there was no advantage to be had for either commissioner. For East Coast virus, 18 points from Kyler Murray kept pace with Baker's 19, and Amari Cooper's 3rd highest score of the season with 15.5 sat well with Billy, but underwhelming 9 points from Marvin Harrison and 4 points from kicker Chase McLaughlin meant that Brendan could still run away with this game. To close things out, East Coast virus had Kamani Vidal and Noah Gray going against the Chiefs defense, with Brendan down 109 to 125. To his dismay, they were who we thought they were, as the two combined for 10 points as his playoff hopes were dashed with a loss to Billy, as Steal Your Face Mask takes down East Coast Virus 129.2 to 118.06.
Punks in Drublic versus I Fucks Your Mom.
Yippee!
It all started Thursday night when Punks in Drublic went with hit or miss option Christian Watson. It must have helped that Romeo Dobbs was out, as Watson was given 7 targets, tying his highest amount of targets this season.
It was mostly Sauce Gardner being out, but
He did not disappoint, as he started off Punk's week with 13.4.
no, that was the Dolphins game. I just suck.
He's off. It was Sunday where Pascal did most of his damage, though he enjoyed strong performances by Jalen Hurts with over 24, Devon Achane with 18.9, and Jalen Waddle with 20.9. Oh, let's not forget Devontae Smith was 13.7, and Tampa Bay's defense putting up 10. I Fucks Your Mom had quite a few reasonable performances Sunday, with Jerry Jeudy at 17.4, Russell Wilson at 16, and Saquon at 14.4. It was Bucky Irving that gave I Fucks Your Mom a chance, as he was forced out of Sunday's contest after putting up a short stack of 2.8. Moving forward, if Bucky misses any time, Pascal is set up nice with Rachaad White, as he put up a solid 24.9 on his bench. Recently acquired Tyler Bass also had only 6 of Buffalo's 42 points in a losing effort. I Fucks Your Mom was held back by the likes of Deebo Samuel with only 5.5, Nick Chubb with 4.8, Dicker the kicker with only 5, and the Bears defense, who got smothered by San Francisco and put up a negative point. Come Sunday evening, Aggie had a great opportunity to gain some ground, as he put up the superstars DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. All Pascal could do is watch as Hopkins hit on a TD. Fast forward to the end of the game. Whoopee! The Chiefs win again, and the 2 stars only combined for 21.7. With 2 players to go on Monday Night Football, Punks already had a comfortable lead, 109.92 to 96.12. CD Lamb and Mike Gesicki combined for 26.8, mostly from CD. And Punks in Drublic clears the victory by 40 and change, 136.72 to 96.12. With a loss by the East Coast Virus, Punks remains in 8th place as the playoffs are underway and will face off against the number 1 seed in the Millfuckers to start off the quarterfinal. I Fucks Your Mom also retains 5th place, where he will face off against reigning fantasy champ Steal Your Face Mask.
Salute Your Short Fellows versus the Auto Draftees. In this matchup that had 0 ramifications for anything, as Salute Your Short Fellows and the Auto Draftees were locked into their positions, it ended up being a lopsided victory for the Auto Draftees, as he was competing for the top score, while SYSF was just hoping to score over 100. Mike was rewarded for starting Sam Darnold, who gave him 34 points, while James Conner added 22. George Kittle put up 21, and Cade Otton and Mike Evans each put up 10. 11.5 points from Travis Homer, Brandon Cooks, and Jalen Reed, who didn't score any points, didn't help. But Frank was going to take this one regardless, as he scored 163.12 points to Mike's 112.18. Frank had this one in the bag from Thursday with 25 points from Josh Jacobs, but was boosted on Sunday with a monster game from Zach Charbonnet, someone I told Brendan to trade for multiple times this season, who had 38 points, subbing for an injured Kenneth Walker. 28 points from Tyreek Hill in his best game of the season, 17 for David Njoku, 16 for Aaron Jones, 13 for Justin Herbert and Alvin Kamara, and 11 for DJ Moore. This was a strong end to Frank's year, but his mid-season losing streak did him in as he finishes in second to last place, while Mike is hoping to recoup some of his early season luck going into the playoffs.
Great. Versus G-Men's Crusaders. In a win or go home matchup, the playoffs started early for these two teams. fighting for one of the last playoff spots. G-Men's Crusaders put up a trio of Detroit players in Jared Goff, Sam Laporta, and Detroit's defense. He cleared 34.62 points, no thanks to Detroit's defense only putting up 2. Colin went into Sunday hoping for some big days from his team, who has seemed to find its stride in the last month and change. He got such performances from Devontae Adams with 25.9, not to be outdone by a 3-touchdown performance from wide receiver Jordan Addison, who finished with a whopping, unstoppable 39.3. These performances helped carry Collins' running back room, who struggled with Pacheco's 8.1 and Jalen Warren's 9.2. And the best of the bunch, a late addition to his lineup, Braylon Allen, with the news of Breece Hall being inactive, putting up a reasonable 12.1. With that move, great, avoids the disaster we've all been waiting for in Nikhil Westbrook-Akeen's 2.9 on his bench. G-Men's Crusaders also made a late switch to the flex as he moved in Calvin Austin, who only was able to muster up 1.4 in for newly acquired Parker Washington's 3.5. Didn't really matter. However, a solid performance from Juwan Jennings helped G-Men's Crusaders hold on to some hope as he had 2 Chargers going in the Sunday night game. Juwan put up 29. Although Gus Edwards reached the end zone, the starting running back did not eclipse 10 fantasy points, and the injury to Will Dissly after only 3.9 would position the Crusaders in the hole come Monday night. To finish the week, it was Collins' potent stack of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase versus powerhouse running back Chase Brown. On the other side, Brown did not disappoint as he boosted 24.3. Burrow matched that score, and Jamar helped him out with an absolute crushing 45.1 fantasy points. Colin gets the top score for the 4th time, while getting into the playoff picture for the first time this entire season, moving up from 10th to 7th, finishing with the most points for in the league as he eliminates G-Men's Crusaders, who drops to 9th. Great certainly must be saying that a lot as he sees his first playoff matchup is against powerhouse Catch This Fade, and G-Men's Crusaders gets the week off as he misses out on the playoffs at the last second. 187.46 to 117.52.
Boston Bulldogs versus Catch This Fade. In a matchup that determined whether Boston Bulldogs would be facing Salute Your Short Fellows or Steal Your Face Mask in the first round of the playoffs, this one was never close. Jay got good games from Darnell Mooney with 20 points and Tyrone Tracy with 19, with okay games from Pat Mahomes and Tony Pollard with 14 each, but no one else scored above 8.5 except Ray McLeod and Jawan Johnson, who were on his bench. It wouldn't have helped, however, as Catch This Fade had yet another strong showing from his squad, despite missing his number 1 QB and wide receiver and his number 3 wide receiver, as Justin Jefferson, and his number 3 wide receiver as well. Justin Jefferson went off for 32 points, his highest score of the season, while Chuba Hubbard scored 20 and Jahmyr Gibbs scored 19. Malik Neighbors put up a respectable 15, Jameson Williams had 13, and Marv's kicker Jake Bates matched the Saints defense with 10 each. Catch This Fade ended up winning 148-99, as Marv will face a tall task in round 1, taking on this year's top scoring team in great, while Boston Bulldogs will be facing up against a 3rd place team in Salute Your Short Fellows, who only scored 90 more points than he did on the season.
Captain Cannabis versus the Milfuckers. In first against last, these two were just playing for fun, it seems, as both teams put up solid performances. The Milfuckers had the more balanced week as he only had 2 players in single digits, in T. Higgins with only 4.3 and Vegas's Daniel Carlson, who hit for 7. The captain, on the other hand, had 4 players who did not reach double digits, and Jake Elliott with 2, Evan Ingram with 7.3, Amir Abdullah with only 0.8, and a game time decision going the wrong way as Lad McConkey sits out. If Captain Cannabis switched Ladd out for teammate Quentin Johnson, Sean would have secured the top score this week and would have eclipsed 190 points. This comes with outstanding performances from Cooper Kupp with 20.2, waiver wire darling Isaac Guerrero with 26.8, the unstoppable Puka Nacua with 41.8, and an epic, otherworldly performance from Josh Allen, who scored 51.88. Damn, dude. Spread the ball out much? Scott was helped along with great performances by Khalil Shakir with 21.6, Brock Purdy 22.1, Bijan Robinson's 20.1, and David Montgomery's 19.4. Come Monday night, Scott had an outside chance of victory, just needing a stellar 30.2 from T. Higgins. But he ended the week as the Milfucker's worst player of the week, and this one ends 174.48 to 148.6. The Milfuckers remain in first place with the loss and will hope for another consistent showing as he faces Punks and Drublick first week of the playoffs. Meanwhile, Captain Cannabis can take a week off from fantasy football, although I'm certain he won't miss an episode of this podcast. We had to let that sink in. All right. Enough about this week's worst. Let's talk about this week's best. Quarterback Josh Allen clears the way with 51.88 fantasy points. Outrageous. Otherworldly. Running back Zach Charbonnet takes the day and steals away victory from lots of us in the fantasy football world. Screw you, Zach Charbonnet, with your 38.3. Jamar Chase, once again, top dog in this category as the top wide receiver with 45.10. George Kittle also striking the list again as the top tight end with 21.10. Kicker Jason Sanders puts up 16 to lead the way for the kickers this week. And the 49ers defense takes the cake with only 13 points. Seems like an offensive week to me. How about you? F you. That's offensive.
All right, so this week's largest margin of victory goes to great over G-Men's Crusaders, 187.46 to 117.52 for a respectable 69.94 margin.
Couldn't beat him by 70? Man, you suck.
Punk. He couldn't even beat him by 100. I mean,
Damn,
come on now.
I mean, what the heck?
At least one of us did that. The closest matchup was not that close. It was Steal Your Face Mask over East Coast Virus.
It didn't feel close.
129.2 to 118.06 for a not so close margin of 11.14.
So I lost by less than Jonnu Smith's overtime points.
Yep.
That feels so awesome.
Almost won, but then Jonnu had to go into overtime.
Kamani and Noah Gray thinking that would work.
Give them their flowers, and $25 goes to Colin McCree once a fucking again with a score of 187.46 despite Sean claiming the win for himself about 24 hours too early.
Thanks for your donation once again.
The wet fart of the week. I Fucks Your Mom takes the shit cake, scoring a measly 96.12 points to help me get into the playoffs. Barely out-crapping Boston Bulldogs, who also put up a sub-100 stinker of 99.7.
You guys stink.
Wah, wah, wah.
All right, I guess we can move on. What do you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
I hate that song. When I'm not feeling up.
Yeah.
Keeper alert. Injured keepers, Brandon Ayuk. Once again, we will say that he's injured for the season. We will continue to say so. Dalton Kincaid missed yet another week when he was needed direly. We had Breece Hall and Raheem Mostert miss this week as well. So some new injuries to add. Ongoing, but they actually kept them out this time. Benched keepers would be Rashad White. Good job, Pascal. You at least won. Dropped keepers remain simply Raheem Mostert. I guess you can add Brandon Ayuk to that, but he's on IR. Whatever.
Yeah.
Traded keepers, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews, which that never happened. On bye this week, we had a stack of players with Jonathan Taylor, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud. And the keeper of the week goes to Puka Nacua with 41.8. Told you, Sean, he was definitely the best option you had.
Yeah, that trade must be killing you because you'd be in the playoffs if you hadn't made it. All right, so let's get
I don't even know what to say.
To our winners. First off, we have yours truly, Punks in Drublic.
Congratulations.
Devon Aishan put up 18.9 compared to 18.7, and Rashad White put up 24.9 compared to 11.3 for 13.8 over expected. Next, we have Catch This Fade.
Congratulations.
James Cook put up 4.9 compared to 13.9 expected, and Nico Collins was on bye for 9 points under expectation. Next, we have Steal Your Face Mask.
Congratulations, damn it.
Jonathan Taylor was on bye, but it didn't matter. And Kyron Williams put up 23.7 compared to 14.5 expected for 9.2 over expected. Next, we have the Auto Draftees.
Congratulations.
Alvin Kamara put up 12.9 compared to 21.8 expected. That's a lot. DJ Moore had 10.9 compared to 13.5 expected for 11.5 under expected. Next, we have Captain Cannabis.
Congratulations.
Who had Puka Nacua, who put up 41.8 compared to 16.4 expected for a whopping 25.4 over expected. Lastly and leastly, we have Great.
Congratulations.
Who has Brandon Ayuk on IR and Isaiah Pacheco scoring 8.1 compared to 10.9 expected for 2.8 under expected.
Now for the teams who were less fortunate this week. We start with Boston Bulldogs.
Ya loser.
But he's in. Breece Hall was out and Dalton Kincaid was out, so he was just out. But he's in. Next we have East Coast Virus.
Ya loser.
Do we have to remind me?
Yes.
Kyler Murray was 17.96, 1.5 over projected expectation, and Mark Andrews on bye with 1.5 points over expectation. East Coast Virus is out. The MILF fuckers.
Ya loser. Hopefully twice in a row.
But he's in, and he's facing you with Brock Purdy putting up a steady 22.1, 4.5 points over his expected value, and Drake London putting up only 12, which is 3 points under his expected value. He finished in the green, 1.5 points over expected value. Next, we have Salute Your Short Fellows.
Ya loser.
Who had quarterback CJ Stroud on bye, and George Kittle showed out with 21.18 points over his expected value, leaving Longfellow and the Short Fellows with 8 points over expected. Next, we have G-Men's Crusaders.
Ya loser.
Who is also out, along with Raheem Mostert, who's also out, and Sam Laporta, who put up 10.4, which is 1 point over expected. G-Men's Crusaders eliminated. Baba, let's go get a drink. And last, and who should be least, I fucks your mom.
Ya loser.
We'll be seeing that next week, probably. Just kidding. You have a stacked team. Zay Flowers was on bye, and Deebo Samuel put up 5.5, which is 5.5 points under his expected value, leaving I Fucks Your Mom with 5.5 under expected value. Hate you guys. Moving on.
You'll be okay.
It's-
You'll be okay.
3 and out.
3 and out. All right. I'll make this easy. Straight drop. My team. Drop it into the garbage. I'm happy that I don't have to look at you guys for another week. It's sour, but it's so sweet.
It definitely smells like sour milk. I have a few straight drops. My first one is Jonathan Brooks. He has no keeper value after his second ACL tear. He'll probably be out for all of next season.
Sucks.
You just drop him. I hate to hear it, but drop him. Then we've got Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have it anymore, it looks like, and Penix should be starting at this point. So you can probably just drop him. Pretty sure you have a better option on your bench. Yeah, no bueno. Kyle Pitts. You never should have picked him up in the first place, and now you see why.
You dropped him
I did. Well, yeah, I did. I dropped him.
after a goose bubble goose.
Yeah, basically. He's had bubble guts all year except for that one big game. Well, at least I played him for it, though. Helped me get a win. Then we've got Deontay Johnson.
You loser.
Yeah, he's a bum and a bad teammate. He probably won't catch many passes this year. Drop him. Get rid of him. He's, yuck.
Hate your stupid trade, Billy. Your stupid trade sucks. Anyways,
So, straight drop question of the week.
what do we got?
Kenneth Walker or Zach Charbonnet?
I would straight drop Zach Charbonnet, but it wouldn't be like a fantasy drop. It would be like a drop kick to his stupid big fucking smile.
Like I said, I told you to trade for him many times this year.
I tried. Frank was holding on to his cards tight. I tried to include him in a trade with more premier running backs, like I was offering J.K. Dobbins before he screwed up his leg. It fell apart, and that was my last hope. It was a trade with Marv or a trade with Frank the week before Dobbins got hurt. So, yeah, I would drop kick Charbonnet in his stupid face and keep Kenneth Walker.
All right. Do you have any straight drop questions?
I don't.
All right. Then I'll go on to my next one.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't come up with them. I was too bitter.
Noah Gray or Dalton Schultz?
Drop Noah Gray.
You probably should not have dropped Dalton Schultz.
Did he do well this week?
He was on bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
So
still,
he did
He
well.
put up 17 points when
It wouldn't have mattered.
wouldn't have helped, but nonetheless.
It wouldn't have mattered.
And
It was
lastly-
J.K. Dobbins getting hurt on Monday Night Football, losing to Scott by 1 point is what did me in.
Yeah.
That's what did me in, not these stupid tight ends.
My last
What is your last one?
straight drop question. Cortland Sutton or Michael Pittman?
Okay, this was a question I was faced with in like week 8.
Did you notice a trend here on
made-
my 3 straight drop
Oh,
questions?
I noticed the trend. 3 frustrating ones. I'm sure you could have come up with more too, but I
Probably.
appreciate this one because I was faced with this in like week 8. I ended up dropping Cortland Sutton, who was my worst receiver at the time, based on everything we had in terms of knowledge. And I made the stupid decision to hold on to Michael Pittman, who is just also has such a stupid face. I just want to punt him. So keep Cortland Sutton. I'll keep my guys.
Cortland Sutton might be a keeper pick for Sean for next year. That was a great trade for him, a really bad trade for Billy.
That's
Billy-
actually true.
Billy
because
might be in
he'd
like
be a 10.
second or third place if he had kept him. And instead, here we are.
Yeah, and as we move forward next week and the week after, as more players realize that they're not playing for anything, and there's only a few teams left, we're gonna have to dive into people's keeper options. That should be very interesting for
that'll be
everyone.
fun.
So
Yeah, because keepers, apparently, I was looking at the site today, and keepers are open. So you can start plugging them in. You've got until the draft to lock them down.
yeah, we'll probably give you guys like a deadline of the night before the draft, unless you're Frank, who tries to keep a player that's not on his team, and we have to make some adjustments. For the trading block, it looks like Dalton Kincaid was out with injury. Chris Olave was on bye and also out with injury. Mark Andrews was on bye, and DeAndre Swift put up 5. So our trade,
For an outstanding win for Jay, who
Yeah.
is in the playoffs.
who clearly won this trade, he's already claimed victory. I'm out. Steal Your Face Mask and Captain Cannabis. Cortland Sutton was on bye, and Kareem Hunt put up only 3.9, so that was a good get rid of me alert by Billy. And Baker Mayfield, which is why he completed this trade in the first place. It was simply just to get Baker for this week. Put up 19. Deontay Johnson was on bye, and he
and
probably
also
won't.
suspended.
Yeah, and he probably won't see the field. The trade
I was
line.
trying to tell people when he got traded to the Ravens, people were like, "Oh, he's gonna be good. It's the Ravens." Da 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 da. I'm like, listen, anyone
It's too
who's been on
crowded.
3 teams in 1 year is not good.
That's
That
true.
is not a good look. And the Steelers are notorious for drafting problematic wide receivers. You see one with George Pickens now. You got Chase Claypool, obviously Antonio Brown. Like, these guys are nutcases. They can play football, but like at a certain point, people don't want to play with them because they're toxic, and that affects things.
Yeah, it's a sad day for Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, well, he brought it on himself. Maybe he should block when it's a blocking play.
Yeah, if he can only go back to year one, which is where we're going to go with our next segment, freshman football.
All right, so I will get started with Marvin Harrison, who put up 8.9 points. Malik Neighbors put up 14.9. Xavier Worthy with 9.6. Keon Coleman still out with injury. Sorry, I had to think about whether it was a bye, and I did that wrong, but I didn't. Roma Dunze scored 20.2. Lad McConkey out with injury. Jaden Daniels on bye. Trey Benson put up 2.9. Blake Corum put up 3.4. Brian Thomas Jr. put up 16.6. Caleb Williams put up 14.06. Brock Bowers put up 8.2. Ricky Pearsall put up 1.5. Jordan Whittington, nothing. Drake May was on bye. Bo Nix was on bye. Spencer Rattler did not come in even after Derek Carr got hurt. Xavier Legette put up 5.9. Ray Davis put up a goose. Bucky Irving put up 2.8 after getting injured. Tyrone Tracy put up 19.3. Our top scoring rookie was Rome Odunze with 20.2, followed by Tyrone Tracy with 19.3, and Brian Thomas Jr. in third place with 16.6.
Okay. Didn't hear too high of scores this time around. Usually we've got some like 20 plus. I think 20.2 was the highest one we saw.
Yeah, I mean, the three of the four quarterbacks were on bye, so that's going to have something to do with it. But like I was saying in reference to Brock Bowers, this is about when the rookies start hitting their rookie wall. So I'm not surprised that the scores are down a little bit.
So we this week we skipped Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Whittington, and I even skipped Drake May. We will cover him later, but we're going on Bo Nix because he's just been such hot fire that we're going to put the spotlight on Bo Nix, who is the 6'2", 217-pound quarterback born in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. No lie. He went to Pinson Valley High School and then went to college at Auburn for his first 3 seasons.
Bo actually went to two high schools. He went to Pinson Valley first, and then he transferred to Scottsdale, I think, in northern Alabama. Pinson Valley is in the Birmingham area, which is the same place or same area that Jameis Winston went to high school in.
Oh, that's
which
interesting.
is why I mentioned last week that they had a little connection, and he and Jameis, they've known each other for a while now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, he also couldn't stay at one college where he did his first 3 seasons at Auburn, and then finished his years in Oregon. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2019 in Auburn, and then he kind of had a great freshman year and then kind of fell off. And then when he went to Oregon for 2 seasons, he dominated in his final 5th season.
Bo Nix was no Nix when he was at Auburn. Auburn fans could not stand him, even though he was a legacy. I think his dad played quarterback at Auburn or something like that.
I'm sure that they can't stand him because he went to Oregon, and then his first year he was a little he took a little growing pains, little time to get going. But in his senior year, his super senior year, he won the William V. Campbell Trophy, which is given to exemplary play and studiousness and helping local communities. That's not exactly the definition of the trophy, but it's like a well-rounded young gentleman. And then he also was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year in his senior year, first team All Pac-12, and he freaking threw 45 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in his super senior year. That's pretty awesome.
Outstanding.
Broncos ended up drafting him first round, 12th overall, as the 5th quarterback off the board.
No, was it? Because you had Caleb, Jaden, Drake, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, 6th.
Oh, 6th. Damn. And he was undrafted and put it in the air. Marv did pick him up off waivers, and I think somebody else had him before then, I believe. because Marv only had him since like mid-season. I think somebody did scoop him up before that. And in his NFL stats, he's played 13 games, all 13 games for the Broncos, 277 completions on 434 passes, 2,842 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks, 67 rushes for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's looking good. He's looking great.
I mean, he's in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year, even though that should be going to Brock Bowers.
It really should.
Yeah. But it's a quarterback.
It's Jaden or Brock, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a quarterback award, so
it'll probably go to Jaden.
Yeah, probably.
Let's hear the bells ring and go to Market Watch. What do you got for Market Watch this week, man?
All right. The stock is up for Punks in Drublin.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I assume we all know why.
Yeah, I'm in the playoffs. I mean, hey, that's how that goes.
Need not say any more on that. My player to highlight would be Patrick Mahomes, and believe it or not, his stock is finally going up. It's
Really?
only because of his next week performance, where he's facing Cleveland. It's going to be a gunslinging event, I imagine. They're not going to lean on the run, and Mahomes will be throwing it. So watch out if you're facing against who is Aggie has the Chiefs. DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce, right?
Yeah.
Who's he playing against?
Steal your face mask, I think.
Yeah, and then who is Mahomes?
Mahomes. I
that
think
Jay?
that's Boston Bulldogs.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, offensive air weapons for the Chiefs. Stock is up. It's going to be a really good week, I feel, and I haven't felt that way all season about the freaking Chiefs. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who's the next team to highlight? Or player?
I've got East Coast Virus.
Oh,
the stock
hey.
is down.
Why?
Because you suck.
But is it across all fantasy platforms or just put it in the air?
Just our league.
All right, good. Because you haven't seen what I've done. Wait till we get to the parallel universe.
Because I don't care.
I'm going to talk about Marvin Harrison, and his stock is going down. I think Kyler Murray is just getting shorter as the days go, and Marvin Harrison is not going to be able
Telling you, man,
do
after
much
Call
against...
of Duty comes out, he is not worth his weight.
I'm going to start calling him
feathers.
Duty because I believed in him. I was the last one. Him and Daniel Jones, I am just off. Somebody hit me in the head too hard as a kid.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Next, I've got great. Stock is up.
Oh, yeah.
My
I
guy is
see your
playing
trend.
real well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens this week. I'm sure he'll dominate. Go, Marv. My stock was going down on Marv, but it's Marvin Harrison, not catch this fade.
Marvellous Satty White.
My
The
next
third.
player to highlight would be Jackson Smith and Jigba, and this is for future and for the season. His stock's going up.
He's legit.
When Lockett's gone and maybe even DK's gone, this dude is just going to be peppered.
Even with DK, he's going to
I think it's better with
a ton
DK.
of targets. I mean, yeah, DK clears out over top.
JSN's going to be a regular 12 to 14
remember,
target receiver.
I was talking about this earlier this season, and you were skeptical, but JSN was named the most athletic receiver by Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. They said he's the most athletic out of the three of them, and we know how athletic the other two are. So shouldn't be too surprised that he's stock up.
Yeah. He's definitely a potential keeper for the seasons coming.
Yeah, that'd be smart. My last market watch goes to G-Men's Crusaders.
Oh, I could have
Stock
guessed
is
that.
Down. Yeah. Oh, you saw the pattern, huh?
I was looking at the screen.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that helps, huh?
And my last stock, rise or fall, will be Malik Neighbors. And we'll just say it's falling because
I mean,
the Giants
I would
just
say
can't get it
long term
going.
it's up because
they
they keep losing, so that keeps them in good contention. I imagine that the Raiders are going to take Shador, so the Giants are probably either going to take Cam Ward or Drew Allar out of Penn State, depending on how he does in the playoffs. So that's going to be stock up for Malik.
Good. I mean, I'm just looking at his fantasy viability over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, want, no good. Marv, you might not want to play him too much.
Don't.
Although, I don't know if you have many options.
Just play him. He's going to dominate. And moving forward.
Say play him, he's going to dominate. How you say his stock is down, but then say play him, he's going to dominate.
Because I'm always fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, do the opposite of what Brendan suggests.
Wait.
Suggests.
Hold on. Wait, where were we?
Sly as a fox.
Hey.
Oh, great.
All right, so I'm going to start this one off by saying the Milfuckers for compiling the most winningest team in the league, and great for compiling the highest scoring team in the league. You two motherfuckers are sly as foxes.
I'm gonna give a
As
more
feeks? As foxes? As fikes?
Fex.
Fex?
Fex.
Okay.
Fexel. You guys are all Fexel. So
Fex you, buddy.
my Sly as a Fox is gonna go to Billy for the late Vele pickup. It actually might be something that a player that you could use this week. Obviously waivers haven't gone through yet, so this might completely change. But as of right now, this is the best ad. It's not great, but it's pretty sly. It's like I saw Billy sitting there
Slyish.
looking at the list, going, hey, "I'm gonna get these guys." Boom! Oh, look at that! Over
I feel
10
like
projected points.
Vele's teammate would look really good on Billy's team.
Oh, Cortland Sutton, yeah, he
Yeah,
would really
yeah.
really look good. So that's our Sly as a Fox. We don't have a game plan for you since we covered pretty much every detail of the playoff matchups coming. So let's take a deep dive into an otherworldly area.
Parallel universe.
The parallel universe. So there's playoffs in Put It in the Air, and there's playoffs in the Family League and the Lions Den. We'll start at the Family League, where 1 seed Great White at 10-4 faces off against the old 1 seed FEL, who's gone on a large losing streak, losing 7 out of 8.
Oof,
Yeah.
that hurts.
Yeah, he was 7-0. So Great White is projected to dominate, and we will see what happens. Fernando was the owner of CMC and Jordan Mason, so that's kind of collapsing for him. He also has a couple of injuries going. Julia's just crushing it and has a sick bench. It should be good for her. In our next matchup, East Coast Virus, myself facing off against Beans, which is Sam, Seamus's girlfriend from California, she's from Arizona, but either way, she lives in California now. She has, slid in. She was actually in 8th place, and if she lost, there was a chance she would be out. But she won, and Fernando lost, so she gets to face me. Please don't beat me, Beans. That'd be great. Next, we have the Fluffy Beagles, which is Kelsey's wife, finishing at 10-4, facing off against Seamus's Long Island Iced Teas at 8-6. Seamus traded away some really good players, but he traded away Jalen Hurts for DJ Moore, and that actually paid off for him pretty well. And Julia just is sitting there with Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, like, what do I do? And Fluffy Beagles, she's been crushing it. A lot of great players, including Jamar Chase, of course. So we'll see what happens there. And then Jose, Julia's brother, Waters of the River at 10-4. All top 4 teams 10-4.
Impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, he faces off against my nephew Jacob, who made the championship last year and lost to Jose. So it's a rematch of the championship game of last season, which is awesome.
Nice.
Because that bodes well for Julia and I, because they're awesome. And then we'll move over to the Lions Den, where
That's Jay's league, right?
This is Jay's league, yeah. Somehow, some way, like I said last week, there was 4 8-5 teams in the top 4 and 4 5-8 teams in the bottom 4. So everybody was still alive.
Man, that is parity. That's a good league.
It was crazy. Jay actually was one of those 5-8 teams. He faced off against his dad and lost, so he's eliminated.
Oh, your dad took you out.
Crazy.
He said, I brought you into this world. I'll take you out of it.
And I was in 4th place and moved into 1st with the win.
Wow.
The top 5 teams. I'm sorry. No. The top 5 teams. No, I'm wrong. The top 2 teams are 9-5. So I get to face off against Jay's dad for the 3rd time this season, and I busted him up both times, but he has a solid team now. It's like one of those late season, oh crap-a-thons that we all worry about.
Like Colin's team.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. I mean, it's not really exactly like Colin's team, but he does have Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, George Kittle, Calvin Ridley, Jordan Addison. So yes, Jordan Addison and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, that's solid.
And then he's playing Tua, Kamara, Justice Hill. Either way, we'll see what's done there. Being a 1 seed's weird for me. It's the first time I've been in first place in that league. So Rico's Roughnecks also at 9-5, facing off against Lord Byron, who is 6-8 as well in the 7th place. That should be a good matchup. Lord Byron's been playing good lately. Jay's little brother, the Butt Fumbles, facing off against Aaron Rodgers' Ayahuasca Picnic in Pete O'Connell's team, which is the best name of the year.
Great names. Both of them.
Jay's little brother, Butt Fumbles, went 8-6, the 3rd seed, facing off against Aaron Rodgers' Ayahuasca Picnic at 7-7. And then the final two to round out the playoff matchups, we have Danny DeVito's Bail Fund, who finished at 8-6, facing off at another 8-6 team. You might recognize this name, Steal Your Face Mask, who stole my fantasy hopes this past week in another league. We've talked about it enough. So that's how it goes. We'll see how the playoff pictures kind of sort themselves out. Should be very interesting. It's a lot of very similar records in the Lions Den, whereas the Family League, the 10-4 teams are facing off against the 7-8 win teams. So it should be really interesting to see how many upsets there are and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit more in-depth information since we will have more time to cover this probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, that's the Parallel Universe. In Hoop, there it is. I faced Billy this week.
Okay.
He was killing me all week in the basketball league, and I had a sick roster on Saturday and Sunday, like 10 against 7, and I ended up beating him by like 50. But he was up by 4 going into Sunday. It was crazy. It was like another week. Same thing happened last week, but who cares about basketball, right? Let's go ahead. Let's move into our final segment so we can call it a day and call it a great season. Great season, guys.
Way to put on a lion face.
I'm over here looking for the doghouse sound bit. Before we run into the doghouse, what happened there? Something happened.
Something did happen.
Before we run into the doghouse, I just want to say it does suck to lose, but you know it's also it's nice. You know, it's nice to because if you really look at the fantasy football league that we have, and then all your fantasy football leagues are, it's fun. It's about hanging out, playing with your friends, having a good time, and you know all the chance that goes with it, and your analysis and plans to be great. All this stuff is comes with winning and comes with losing, and being bitter about losing. There's half of you that are in the playoffs that are going to be feeling this way next week. It's just better to look at the whole picture instead of just wanting to break shit. And I've grown.
Is this what you've been telling yourself over the last couple days?
I've grown over the years to where, you know, the Giants losing, I'd be pissed. I didn't care if they were 1-10 and they lost. I would be pissed. I'd be punching shit. And you know, the many years of fantasy where my teams have been, you know, up and down. You know, you get mad, but you can't let that overtake you. You got to just stop and smell the roses and think about all the good things in life. And I'm not talking about, oh, I made the playoffs in 2 other fantasy leagues. I don't care. It's fine. I had a great time this season doing the podcast. Still a little bit salty because the wound is still freshly open and hasn't been sewn up yet. But looking at it, we had a great time doing this podcast. We'll continue to do it, hopefully, for seasons to come. We'll see what we're able to do. And
we'll
we just
at least
appreciate
be
you guys.
continuing it into the off season.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
looking forward to some off season episodes. Dropping that Colin interview, that one was good.
Oh yeah, we'll drop
that'll
that.
be fun. But we got stuff to talk about in the off season.
Yeah, and we also, if you guys stay tuned, we're gonna get a Marv interview, an Aggie interview, and a Scott interview on the books. We're gonna try to get those done this week. So guys, keep your phones on. We are going to try to get those before your teams move forward or get eliminated, so we all have the same kind of feel.
That's right. That's right.
And then we'll release them week by week based on who's still in or out or however it kind of falls. And yeah, now let's just run over to the place where the dogs bite.
All right, so I'm gonna start this one out because you shit on my prospects too often. So for the last doghouse of the regular season,
Yeah. Are you gonna?
I'm writing your name on the front door. Because here we are, months after the fact, and we're still waiting on our $25.
Oh, I told you about the great news of how it was donated towards the podcast.
Sure, yeah. Whatever, buddy.
Yeah.
Where's my money?
All right, well, you got any... Oh, I'm looking at your Sly as a Fox thinking that you gave the Millfuckers the Doghouse Award as well.
No.
All right, well...
Just you, buddy.
Hopefully the renovations are done and the Doghouse addition has been completed, because this week I'm throwing in Aggie for the shittiest name of the year. I'm throwing in Billy for defeating any freaking fantasy playoff hopes that I had. I'm throwing in Colin for being so damn good for the last month. Damn you, Colin. I'm throwing in Pascal for stealing my freaking spot, the last spot available. I'm throwing in Kyler Murray for being such a freaking pedestrian quarterback this season. I'm throwing in J.K. Dobbins for finding the worst time ever to tweak your damn knee. And I'm throwing in Kenneth Walker for throwing in the towel and letting Zach Charbonnet shit on all our hopes and dreams. The doghouse is packed. You guys could all spend the night. Get out of my face. And always remember, when setting your waivers
and your playoff lineups,
you sons of bitches, to put it in the air.
This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
That was good. Yeah, I think that if we focus on the playoffs and take out some of the fluff, I think that's how we should rock out for the next few episodes.
Agreed. I've been thinking about it, and so long as we do continue this next season, if we're able to, it'll probably be whittled down to an extent, just because there's so much to cover. It could be covered with less words, but we like to talk. So instead of energy drinks, maybe we'll have like beers.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, hopefully I'm not available during the middle of the day during the week next week, and maybe we're doing this Monday night, Sunday night, Saturday night. Who knows?
We'll find time on the busy schedule of life.
Yeah, put it in the air and put it down your gullet. Drink it. I'm down with that.
I hate fantasy football so much.
See, this is how I feel normally throughout the rest of the year.
I actually love it.
Yeah, too much.
But I hate you guys.
And on that note,
just kidding. Talk to you guys later. Egg on all your faces.
We out.
Peace.